Her slap hit me like a thunderclap in a silent room. One moment, I was holding out a shimmering tiara for my sister. The next, I stood frozen in a chic bridal salon, my cheek blazing as onlookers gawked. "Get out," she hissed, her voice slicing through the air. "You're spoiling my day." Humiliation surged, hot and sharp, but beneath it, a quiet strength ignited. What she didn't know, what no one in that glittering room knew, was that her entire dream wedding, from the gown to the chandeliers, was funded by me. And as I walked out, I decided her fairy tale was about to crumble. My name is Sophie Bennett. I'm 29, and I never thought a day of celebration would become the moment I rewrote my story. The salon was a dazzling haven in the city's heart, with velvet curtains, crystal chandeliers, and dresses that cost more than my car. My sister, Claire, stood on a mirrored platform, radiant in a gown dripping with pearls. Our mom, the saleswoman, and a few cousins fawned over her, their applause echoing. I lingered by a rack, holding her clutch, fetching her champagne, and dodging her sharp glances. Sophie grabbed the tiara from the case.
"Move faster," she snapped.
I swallowed my irritation and complied, as always. But when I handed her the tiara, she spun, slapped me, and sneered. "You're ruining my moment. Leave." Gasps rippled through the room. My face stung, but the betrayal cut deeper. She tossed me aside like a stranger. What Claire didn't know was that the sleek black card she'd been using to build her perfect wedding, every vendor, every centerpiece, every dessert, was linked to my account. For months, she'd spent lavishly, believing our parents were bankrolling her dream. But it was me, pouring my savings into her fantasy. As I stepped into the crisp evening air, I pulled out my phone, my hands steady despite the sting. I opened my banking app and froze the card.
Done.
Inside, the salon's chatter continued, unaware of the chaos looming. Minutes later, a notification flashed. Transaction declined. $19,500 at Luminous Bridal. I grinned. That was her gown. From the street, I glimpsed Claire at the register, clutching her pearl-encrusted dress, jabbing the card at the clerk. "Try it again," she demanded, her voice shrill. The clerk shook her head. Claire's cheeks flushed as she snapped at everyone. Mom murmured about calling the bank, but the manager intervened, voice firm. "Without payment, the dress stays here." Claire's poise shattered, her crown slipping. Mom glanced at the door, likely wondering where I'd vanished, but I was already strolling away, a spark of freedom in my chest. My phone buzzed, Mom, Dad, then Claire. I ignored them until Mom's sixth call. "Sophie, what did you do?" she barked. Claire's dress was declined. "She's mortified." I kept my tone even. "That's not my issue. That card was mine. I've been funding her entire wedding, venue, decor, everything." Silence hung heavy. Then Mom's voice quavered with fury. "You're heartless, ruining her big day." I laughed softly. "Heartless? I've burned through my savings while Claire treats me like her servant. I'm finished." Claire seized the phone, screeching, "You're sabotaging me out of spite." I replied, "Pay for your own wedding, Claire. I'm out." Then I hung up. The next morning, a text from the venue. "Payment overdue. Booking voids in 48 hours. I swiped it away, knowing Claire would see it soon. By midday, she called, voice cracking. "The venue's canceling. Sophie, fix this." I said, "I stopped paying. That's it." She wailed, "The wedding's in 10 days. The band, the lights, they all want money." "That's on you now," I said, ending the call. The family group chat erupted. Aunts wondered if the wedding was off. The baker pulled out after Claire's check bounced. Word reached her fiancé, Ethan, that her parents weren't paying. It was all me. 3 days later, Ethan texted, "Sophie, did you fund everything?" Claire said her family covered it. I replied, "Yes, Ethan. Every detail, venue, menu, all of it."
His voice was taut when he called.
"She lied to me. To my parents. How could she?" Claire grabbed the phone, desperate. "She's twisting this, Ethan. She's always hated me. But Ethan's tone hardened. I saw the bank statements, Claire. You used Sophie's money and lied. What else isn't true? By the call's end, he'd ended the engagement. On the wedding day, the venue was barren. No lights, no chairs, just echoes. Claire, in a borrowed dress, paced frantically, her eyeliner smudged from tears. Spotting me, she shrieked, "You wrecked my life." I faced the gathered relatives, voice steady.
Claire liegt.
I funded her wedding while she treated me like dirt. When she slapped me, I stopped. This is the consequence. Murmurs spread. Ethan arrived, not in a suit but jeans, and announced, "There's no wedding. Claire's lies end here." Even our parents, who'd blamed me, stood speechless. As guests left, grumbling about wasted plans, Claire crumpled, sobbing. Dad glared. "You caused this, Sophie." I didn't waver. "No, this is what happens when you exploit me." Mom begged. "Pay the bills, Sophie. Save her." I shook my head. "I'm not your bank anymore. Claire can chase her own dreams." I walked out, leaving her broken fantasy behind. Weeks later, the calls faded. Claire, once the family star, hid from the gossip. My parents faced their own debts, no longer leaning on me. I started saving, even joined a pottery class I'd always dreamed of. One day, a cousin texted, "Sophie, you stood tall. Respect." That slap could have shattered me. Instead, it sparked my freedom. Sometimes, the best revenge is walking away, letting the truth tear down the lies.